Yeah.
I guess so. My dad used to listen to this. He used to watch this show all the time.
This is my favourite show.
Ever.
Absolutely. I feel like I should...
Does that make me 99?
I think you're only 42. Oh no, 41.
Yeah, don't age
I'm
me.
99.
You're 99.
Should I switch it off?
Yeah. In case you probably haven't guessed, that was Get Smart.
And what an appropriate topic. Oh, how did we pick that? That was just sheer fluke that came up.
The theme song for Get Smart.
It's Monday night, and do you know what that means? Have a guess. Yep, it's time for the top 5 with Kim. Oh, she's so lovely.
You're so funny. Do you want to have a sniff?
Yeah.
It's one of my top 5, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet.
Oh, wow, that's got a bit of a kick to it, hasn't it? Wow. Okay, so our top 5 tonight is, well, tell us all about it, Kim. Our top 5 for?
The brain.
5 for the brain.
Yeah. So we're going to do...
I need all the help I can get, don't I?
Yes, you do.
It's been one of those days, really. No, I'm a new man. Seriously, like I've made a decision. I just want to tell you guys, like all that mucking around. Like last week, I don't know what happened. I had the hair and the beads and the chest and everything.
And you're going to take these videos seriously?
Yeah, no, tonight. It is. It's serious. Oils are serious. You're serious.
The brain is serious.
The brain is serious. I'm serious. So no more mucking around. No more joking.
Okay.
Serious. Look.
Do you have a question to ask me?
Oh crap! I can't remember what it is. How are your oils working? No. Oh. How do your oils work? How did the oils work? Oh.
Mine work very well, thanks. How do yours work? Never work with children, animals, or people named Jeremy.
Oh, you're killing me. Oh, sorry.
We rehearsed this.
My one line and I blew it.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm serious now. Look.
Okay. So I guess what I wanted to talk about to start off is basically how do essential oils work. And essential oils are actually one of the fastest senses because you think about how close your nose is to your brain, and when we breathe in a smell, we can smell them really, really fast.
So 2.5 centimeters, basically, isn't it? From the inside of your nose to the inside of your brain.
Yes.
It's a small gap.
And it keeps us safe. You think about when you smell burning toast, what do? Run to the toaster.
Yeah, no, I grab the honey and the butter because anyway, yeah.
But it does, it keeps you safe. Also, like our sense of smell is really important to our survival. You think about a brand new baby, and even before they open their eyes, they will actually crawl up their mummy's tummy towards the breast because they can smell the breast milk. They learn to associate the smell of their mother and even that let down smell before they learn anything else. A sense of smell is really, really important.
And it's actually one of the things that, if you're talking about people with Alzheimer's and dementia and those kind of things, actually smells are quite powerful too. They can trigger memories quite powerfully. So, yeah, I agree. But what does this have to do with the brain?
Okay.
Apart from the fact that it's close. It's like that far away.
So the thing about essential oils in the brain is that when we smell a smell, it goes into our nose, into the nasal hairs in our nose, and then it goes from our nose up into our brain and to the amygdala that is like in the limbic system of our brain, which is where our memories and emotion are stored. It goes to our hippocampus. And from there, we start, thinking about what does that remind me of?
Because that's the primitive part of our brain, isn't it? Which is to do with emotions and memories and actions too, isn't it? That's where we actually make a lot of our decisions, is in that primitive part of our brain.
And then what happens is it travels to what we call the hypothalamus. And in that part of the brain, we start and analyse our brain starts to analyse the smell and decide what it's going to do with that and how we're going to react to that particular smell.
Yep.
So it can actually go in one of 4 directions. It can go towards the pituitary gland, which gives us that feeling of euphoria and wow, I'm feeling so good. And that's why
Like
you have
last week.
some smells that are uplifting, and because they've gone towards the pituitary gland where we regulate hormones and we feel good. That's where our endorphins come from. It can go towards the raphe nucleus, which is another part of our brain, which is where we actually release serotonin. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
There you go. It can go towards the thalamus gland, which is another part of our brain. And once again, that's when we get encephalin. So that's another feel-good hormone.
Okay.
And the 4th place that it can go is actually to the locus coeruleus, which once again, it's basically... I guess responsible for noradrenaline. So it wakes us up, peps us up, gives us energy, that kind of stuff. So it can go towards one of those 4 parts of the brain.
Interesting. The old locus coeruleus. That's the second time I've heard that this week.
Right.
Sorry, a bit of a get smart thing there. Yep.
Yes, okay.
No, but that's fascinating because, the brain is so powerful and smells are such a powerful thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing about the brain is that universities in Berlin and in Vienna have actually studied the effects of essential oils on the brain, and they've worked out that because we call it the blood-brain barrier, and a barrier makes it sound like a wall, but it's more like a sieve. And so if you can imagine your sieve or your colander in your kitchen, it's kind of like that. And what happens is you pour the peas or the rice or whatever in, and if it's small, like water, it'll run out.
It sounds like my brain.
Yes, that's right. But if it's bigger than the holes, then it'll stay in there. So it's kind of like a sieve. And so they've worked out that that sieve will only, like the holes, and they can't know this for sure, but are between 800 and 1,000 atomic mass units. So anything smaller than
that's small,
can actually get through the blood-brain barrier. And because like the largest essential oil molecules are sort of sesquiterpenes, which are 500 atomic mass units, therefore they are able to cross the blood-brain barrier. And the other reason that they're able to actually cross the blood-brain barrier is because they're lipid soluble, which basically means that they they dissolve in fats. Yeah. So so that's another reason why they can get across. And they believe that that these 2 universities, you can Google this stuff. So like Berlin University and Vienna University studied the effects of oxygenation of the brain based, from essential oils. So
wow.
And that's why they were looking at the size of.
This is quite serious, isn't it?
Very serious.
I'm being very serious.
Yes.
Thank you.
I guess that's probably all I wanted to say about the effects of oils on the brain.
When do we get to talk about brain fog?
Well,
because I just need to know. Just tell me when we're about to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I scared now?
No.
Should
It's
I
just
be
brain.
scared?
Brain fog. It's an issue. Are we talking about brain
Well,
fog? Because I think we all get brain fog.
I was going to talk about brain fog when I get to product.
Okay. Let's talk about it then.
Number 2, 3, 4. Have you noticed that I've got 6 things in my products?
6 products.
How did that happen?
That's a bonus product. That's one for free.
We'll have to think about that. Okay.
Yep. Well,
let's talk about brain fog then.
Let's talk about it. Hold on.
Oh no, I'm really scared now. Okay, here we go. You said you were going to be serious today.
I'm serious.
That's not serious.
Yeah, no, it is.
What does that even mean?
Well, it's brain fog. I don't want brain fog.
Okay.
It protects me from brain fog and alien messages and chemtrails. Oh, look, I'm sorry.
He said he was going to be serious
I promise
today.
I'll be serious.
He really did.
Yeah.
And
no, I am
I don't
serious.
believe him anymore. Okay, so I want to talk about some of the effects of brain fog. And I guess there's a number of, there's lots and lots of studies. Obviously, one of the things is to do with diet. So things like gluten.
Can we just clarify, when you're talking about brain fog, what do you mean? I mean, just so that we all know that we're on the same page.
So I guess by brain fog, I mean a lack of ability to concentrate, to focus.
Yeah.
You just feel foggy. You feel like you aren't yourself. Like people explain it as like feeling cloudy. Just that inability to be able to focus, I guess, is what I really mean by brain fog.
And times when people might feel that would be, I mean, in your life, when have you had times like that when you felt that brain fog setting in?
Well, funnily enough, I was going to talk about baby brain, but not quite yet.
Okay, yep, no. I don't want to jump the gun.
But I definitely felt when I was pregnant that I had a lot of, like I referred to it as baby brain. And I guess one of the reasons for that is that like calcium, it gets sort of stripped from the mother's body and helps in the development of the baby. So too are essential fatty acids. So our babies can't make their own essential fatty acids in their brain when they're developing. So they draw on the reserves of the mother's body. And when they're being made, and also when they're born, it's one of the amazing benefits of breastfeeding is that the essential fatty acids in us get transferred in our breast milk to our babies, and it's one of the main, amazing benefits of breastfeeding is those essential fatty acids that help with brain development. And you can Google a lot of the research, but it's definitely shows that. I think some of the research even indicated that 2 months of difference between brain development.
Wow. I wish I had breasts. Simple as that.
Yeah. So I guess some of the causes of brain fog are things like diet. So, if you're eating lots and lots of carbohydrates and sugars and gluten and wheat and things like that, then you can get brain fog from what you eat. You can actually get it from bad gut health. If you're not having enough probiotics and you're not looking after your gut health, like the gut is really a brain in itself. There's lots and lots of research out there about the gut health and how it's actually a second brain, if you like. And so we can get it from that. We can get it from lack of exercise and sunshine, and I'm certainly going to talk about D3 in a little while. But another major way that we can get brain fog is actually from chemicals. So I know you thought it was really funny with your hat on, but it's actually scientifically proven that we do get issues with brain fog from the chemicals in our environment. So that can be the chemicals that we're using on our bodies. So we've got these little receptor sites on our cells. So if you can imagine a cell's like a circular thing and it's got all these little receptors on it.
I'll be the receptors right here.
Okay. And what happens is, because there's so many chemicals these days in the products that we use, now that's going to be really distracting to you. There's so many chemicals in the products that we use. What happens is it's kind of like, if you can imagine that these little receptor sites are like your TV antennas, and if your TV antenna gets bent or broken, it can't get the TV signal, and you can't, your TV goes like snow and it's not working properly. Well, that's the same thing that happens to the receptors on our cells. So what happens is the chemicals act like blue tack or chewing gum or something like that. Or even if you can imagine a sludgy mess around the cell, and it clogs up the receptor sites, and your cells aren't, have an inability to be able to accept the nutrients and stuff that they need. So that often, those chemicals can lead to brain fog. So one of the products that I put on my list, which I then realised that I had 6.
Let's get into the good stuff.
Actually, the Lavender mint shampoo and conditioner, and I won't count that in my 5. But the reason I chose this was because it's got peppermint in it, and peppermint just naturally peps you up. Once again, a university study by the University of Cincinnati, a doctor called Dr. Demba. In 1994, he researched the effects of peppermint on mental accuracy. So he got, accountants and people who do data entry to sit there and enter data, and he tested them without the use of peppermint oil and with the use of peppermint oil, and he found that their accuracy levels of doing the data entry was so much more accurate. So I guess one way of preventing brain fog is to eliminate the petrochemicals and phthalates and parabens and all of those kinds of things from your personal care products. But the other thing is that look at using a shampoo in the morning to pep you up and wake up the brain that's got peppermint in it. So I absolutely love the, the lavender mint shampoo.
And it just smells good too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And, I love the whole, just the massaging your head. I know it sounds crazy, but just getting the blood going, especially at the back there, it's actually good for your brain too. It does help wake you up. So, so that's not number 5.
No.
Right? That's number 6
Yes.
in Kim's top 5. Okay?
I think 1, 2... Oh, no, maybe that is number 5.
No, I think that is number 5.
Okay, sorry, that is number 5.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can't
Number
count
5.
today. Okay, so that's number 5.
Shampoo.
All right. Number 4. So it's funny because he's the English teacher and I'm not, and so I'm going to quote to you from Hamlet. It sounds funny coming from Kim.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Give it your best shot.
So Othello in William Shakespeare's Hamlet actually says that rosemary is for remembrance.
Good. Yep.
And you know why we actually chose to do this topic tonight? Wasn't because we all thought you needed some extra brain power, but it's because on Wednesday this week it's actually Anzac Day. And we wanted to let you know where the idea of the sprigs of rosemary actually come from. And so it started off, as I said, as a quote from Othello in Shakespeare's Hamlet. And they said that rosemary was for remembrance. And then because rosemary was growing on the cliffs and things like that around Gallipoli, it was quite a significant plant to the soldiers, to the Australian and New Zealand soldiers. So it kind of seemed like a natural symbol of remembering those who have fallen. And so given that it's Anzac Day this Wednesday, we thought it was particularly nice to let you know that that's where the idea of wearing sprigs of rosemary on Anzac Day and on Remembrance Day come from. And that's because it grows around Gallipoli, but also because rosemary is for remembering and for remembrance. And so
and they would have smelt it too, wouldn't they? Just brushing past it.
Yeah.
Crushed rosemary, yeah.
So rosemary oil, amazing oil for the brain. And
so how would you use it?
so in the diffuser is a really good way. Making it up into a roller bottle, And what's the interesting thing about rosemary is that when you first smell it out of the bottle, it actually smells like eucalyptus.
It does, yeah.
And you know what? When I first got my first bottle of Young Living rosemary oil, I smelled it and I thought, oh, they've put the wrong label on this bottle. It's eucalyptus. But it's not. You know why it smells like eucalyptus? Because one of the molecules inside in rosemary oil is eucalyptol or 1,8-cineol. And the thing about that particular ingredient is it is really light. So the minute you take the lid off, that is the first thing you smell. So I often encourage people to start down low and you can smell the difference. You can smell the rosemary further away than if you put the rosemary oil quite close to your nose, you'll smell the eucalyptus and you'll think, oh, that's not rosemary, that's eucalyptus. But if you start down low, you'll be able to smell rosemary. It's a good trick to play on people. Get 2 people to sit beside each other, get one of them to smell it up close and one to smell a bit further away, and they'll tell you one's rosemary and one's eucalyptus. So
You trickster.
I know. So there's rosemary, some little tidbits
that's number 4.
about rosemary. Okay.
Let's keep going.
All right. So rosemary is actually in my next blend. I'm actually going to read what's in it because there's so many oils. But this is the oil that we started off with. This is Clarity.
Yeah.
So it contains basil, Roman chamomile, cardamom, geranium, bergamot, rosemary, as I said, lemon, ylang-ylang, peppermint, jasmine, palmarosa, and coriander. Rosemary, lemon, and peppermint are all amazing oils for the brain. So... but I love Clarity. I love breathing it in. I know you mix it.
I do, yeah. I've been using Clarity for those times I need to be super alert, particularly in early mornings if I have to get up early and do something. A drop of Clarity behind each ear, and I mix it with Energy and do the same thing behind my ear, and it's a fail-safe, pep me up, wake up, instant wide awake Clarity thing. It's great.
It's great if you've got teenagers who need to study or if you need to pay attention at work. Just gives you that clearness. Like I can't even describe it any other way. I mean, that's obviously why it's called clarity, because it gives you clarity. So,
it's good.
Yeah.
So that was number 3?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go number 2.
Okay, so number 2, I talked before about the whole idea of breastfeeding and how when we breastfeed our babies, they are getting the essential fatty acids to help in their brain development. Well, a really good way to build up our essential fatty acids, regardless of whether we're breastfeeding or not, but particularly if we're making babies, like before we get pregnant. I know these days there's a lot of research out there on the importance of folic acid, and folate, and but I guess one of the lesser known supplements for pregnancy is actually omegas, your omega-3s. So looking at my number 2 product
so number 2 is again
is Omega Jais. So Omega Jais is actually a supplement that's been approved by the Therapeutic Goods Administration. Now you can tell which products have been approved by the Therapeutic Goods Administration because they have this little number down here. It'll have OST-L and then the number. So then you know which ones have been approved. You can go onto the Therapeutic Goods Administration website and look up the claims that have actually been approved for these products. So in the case of this one, it's approved for brain health, cognitive health.
Not just that, but
cardiovascular. Yeah. So it's basically heart, eye, joint, and brain health. So it's been approved for all of those. But obviously tonight, because we're talking about brain health, it's great supplement for the brain. What's in it? It's basically fish oils that are rich in both DHA and EPA. So it's got both of them in it. It's got vitamin D, CoQ10, and it's got essential oils. So it's quite interesting because the fish oils are some of the world's most pure fish oils. They've actually, like everything that Young Living produces, they test independently, send it off to independent labs, as well as doing their own testing to make sure that it doesn't contain environmental pollutants. So the fish oil is really pure.
I don't mean to be rude, but I've smelt fish oil in the past and it's gone off. So what stops the fish oil? Because this is genuine fish oil. Yeah. So what stops it going off?
So Young Living has their own proprietary blend that they add to the capsules, and it's spearmint, which also helps with that after fishy taste that you can get from some fish oils. German chamomile and clove, and they act as antioxidant support in the capsules. It also contains vitamin D3, which vitamin D3 is known as the sort of feel-good vitamin. It's great for moods and increasing your mood. I mentioned before that it was also good for brain fog and brain health, vitamin D3. And the other thing that this has got in it is CoQ10. And the thing about CoQ10 is that it also helps to maintain good cognitive health. This CoQ10 comes from, I've got to remember what I think it's called, I've got a mental block, Kaneka Q10, I think. It's like the world's best kind of CoQ10 that you can get.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Young Living.
Yeah, so research the ingredients, do your own, don't trust me, what do I know?
No, but you're right, and certainly for the brain clarity stuff, we've always known that omegas are good for that, but here they are in a pretty accessible form.
Yeah, so as I say, omega-3s, obviously you can't take it if you're vegetarian because the omega-3s do come from fish.
But they're fish who've eaten vegetables?
They've probably eaten seaweed, but I don't know, they've probably eaten other fish, I don't know.
Don't eat it if you're a vegetarian.
No,
maybe.
But it's got, as I say, fish oil, so the omega-3s, D3, vitamin D3, which mood and, that feel good vitamin. You've got CoQ10 and you've got the essential oils all in the capsule. And I should just say that it's not something that you're going to take today and it'll be good tomorrow. It's actually... you need to take this consistently, and they recommend on the label 4 a day. So you can either do 2 in the morning or 2 at night, or if you're like us and you never remember to do anything at night, because we're so busy talking to you guys, then I do 4 in the morning.
Yep.
So yeah, 4 a day of Amigagize. Okay,
Yep.
so that's number 2.
That's awesome. And number 1, drum roll.
Well, it wouldn't be Kim's top 5 for the brain if we didn't do brain power.
Brain power, because it's got brain in it.
Yes.
In the name.
Yes. Okay. Now, I mentioned before about those sesquiterpenes and how they're able
Sexy
to
terpenes.
cross
I
the
love
blood-brain
those sexy
barrier.
terpenes.
How can I pay attention?
They are damn sexy terpenes.
So, sesquiterpenes, it's got the oils that are high in
Yep.
sesquiterpenes. So, it's actually got Royal Hawaiian sandalwood in this blend.
Yep.
It's got cedarwood. It's got blue cypress, lavender, helichrysum, frankincense, and melissa.
Wow, there's some heavy hitters in there, aren't there?
Yeah.
And they're precious oils too. Like, look at the price tag on some of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I love about this oil is if I have difficulty in accepting a new idea, or like I feel like I'm just not getting it, like if I'm trying to learn the chemistry of an oil, or if I'm trying to learn parts of the brain or something like that and I have difficulty getting it.
Understand me.
Yes, I actually put it on my right thumb. Okay, so I get a little bit of brain power and I put it on my right thumb, and I even do what we call Vitaflex, which is literally where you go from positive to negative, and I just massage it into my thumb, into my right thumb, smelling the oil. I love the smell of brain power.
Yeah.
You can put brain power in the diffuser. I much prefer to use it topically. But it's a great oil in the diffuser. But as I say, your right thumb, if you're having difficulty accepting new ideas and you just feel like, I'm never going to learn this, brain power, right thumb, right big toe. It's kind of like, how in acupressure and all that kind of stuff and acupuncture, your toes and your thumbs relate to your brain and your head. It's like that. So, so I use that. And if brain power's a little bit too pricey, you can actually try cedarwood. But
The poor man's brain power.
yeah, because cedarwood's pretty good as well, and it nearly made my top 5, but I much prefer brain power.
Wow. Okay, so quick recount. Let's go back. Number 5 was?
Number 5 was obviously eliminating chemicals, because that leads to brain power. So using any of Young Living's personal care products, but particularly this shampoo or conditioner, because it has peppermint in it.
That wakes you up in the morning. It feels good.
Wakes you up.
Okay.
Rosemary, clarity.
Oh, beautiful.
Amigagize. If you're not on Amigagize, and get on this stuff.
Yeah.
I seriously, everyone says to me, how do you remember all this stuff? And I go, because I've got my friend Amigagize.
And number 1?
Is brain power.
Okay, and that just leaves me to talk about my number 1.
I wonder what it will be.
Well, no, here's an interesting thing, right? I thought about this and I thought, what were some of your top thinking ones? There was cedarwood. That was a big one. You didn't mention lavender, but that is actually something which is quite good for the brain too. It's relaxing, but it's also clarifying. So take cedarwood and lavender, then add in some lemon. How good is lemon? You smell that? It's got that zesty kind of thing that wakes you up. So add in some lemon. Then put in a couple of my favourites, Idaho blue spruce and Northern Lights blue spruce. Black spruce, sorry. Yeah, no, not the blue spruce. So, and both of those, if you've ever smelled them, have that kind of tangy, they're wake-up ones as well. I love them. And then one of my favourites, Hinoki. What can you tell me about Hinoki?
Hinoki's a wood that comes from
a tree.
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's the Japanese equivalent
cypress.
of cypress. Yeah. Hinoki is actually quite well known in the aromatic world for energizing and uplifting the mind. So if you put all those together with a couple of other things, mix them all around, you know what you'd end up with?
I give in what?
Oh, the ultimate
I think you should
brain
put your hat
power.
back on.
Shutran! That's what it is. It's multi-purpose.
Yes, of course
and
it is.
It wakes your brain up. Yeah.
Where's your hat?
Thank you so much for spending this evening with us. I'm going to liberally put Shutran all over me and see what happens.
Hope it makes him smarter.
Oh, you're so harsh. Real. See you guys.
Bye.